This is the Executive Profile, exclusively on CBT News. Today's episode has been sponsored by the Presidio Group.
Hi everyone, I'm Jim Fitzpatrick. On this edition of the Executive Profile, exclusively on CBT News, we spend time with Ernie Boch Jr., a dedicated philanthropist, respected business leader, and the CEO of Subaru of New England, one of only 4 auto distributors in the country. Ernie was incredibly generous in opening up his home to me and the team for this interview, giving us a glimpse not only into his business philosophy, but also into the things he's most passionate about. And it's clear his energy, drive, and creativity go far beyond the auto industry. He's taken what is once a family-run dealership and turned it into a powerhouse, building one of the most successful automotive operations in the country. But what really stands out is his commitment to his charitable causes. Through his foundation, Music Drives Us, Ernie has helped fund hundreds of public school music programs and supported local musicians and organizations throughout New England. He's also a lifelong music lover and an avid guitar player, with a guitar collection that's just as impressive as his car collection. He's performed with some of the biggest names in rock and roll and has built lasting relationships in the music world that might surprise you. This conversation goes beyond business. It's about legacy, leadership, creativity, and giving back. I think you're really going to enjoy this edition of the Executive Profile featuring Ernie Boch Jr. Take a look. Ernie, thank you so much for taking the time out of your very busy schedule to spend some time with us here at CBT News.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Sure. This place is just amazing. I know our viewers are going to get a lot out of today's show. Let's start there. We're in this incredible salon. How'd this come about?
I am in the automotive industry. Sure. I'm third generation. My grandfather started the business in 1938. Mm-hmm. And in the late 40s, my father took over, mm-hmm. and in the early 2000s, I took over. And I always liked vehicles, but to me at the beginning, it was just transportation. It was providing a service, and it was to make some money for my family, sure. friends, everybody working there. And then I kind of got into it. You know, I get into the various types of vehicles and what they are. And when I was a kid, there were people that loved, like, you know, the Camaro and the Charger. My father used to drive around a black Charger GT, 69.
Great car.
A great car.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we were a Dodge dealer
sure.
at one point.
Sure.
And I liked them, but I always was fascinated by the imports, you know, on the covers of the magazines, because there were so many, but I never saw them. They weren't around here. They just weren't here. We just never saw them live. And it's not like I was traveling around at that age.
Sure.
And then when I got exposed to it, the idea of Ferrari and Lamborghini and that whole, it fascinated me. And then I became a Ferrari dealer.
Okay.
And I don't consider myself a collector.
Okay.
I consider myself a preservationist.
Okay.
There's a lot of cars here that very few models.
Yeah.
And if they're not restored, they're gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
When was this built? This
June of
facility?
2020.
Okay.
Yep. Pretty much in the
middle
of the lockdown.
Sure.
Yeah.
No question about it. Let's go back to your upbringing. How many kids in the family? Your dad was the dealer. Your grandfather, as you mentioned, started the company. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Okay. My great-grandfather came to the United States through Ellis Island. And when I was a kid, my great-grandfather was alive, and I was scared to death of him. Anybody that was young enough to have a great-grandfather, Italian,
sure.
they very, very scared of him. And, you know, it didn't traumatize me or anything, but you really didn't go near him. And then my grandfather was born in the United States in Boston, and he was always a tinkerer. He liked to tinker. And as he got older, he got fascinated by cars. So he was fixing friends' cars in a tiny little garage, which stands today on a local street here in Norwood. Yeah. And he became so good at it, he wanted to do it for a living. So he worked at Boston Cadillac. Now, Boston Cadillac on Calm Ave, back in the day, it's now part of Boston University.
Oh, okay.
These giant buildings and giant rooms. Those were showrooms. Those were built by the titans of the automotive industry. Sure. And on the weekends, he would fix cars, and my grandmother would shag the parts. And business became so good that he quit Boston Cadillac and did a business out of the garage. Wow. And then the garage became so busy, he bought a little piece of land on Route 1 in Norwood in 1938, built a building, and it's
that
actually,
building right there.
It's that building right there. I don't know if
you're
getting a shot of it,
and
but
we're showing it on the screen
right now. That
yep.
building right there, that's 1964.
Wow.
That's 1964. But it was a gas station fixing cars, no brand, no anything.
Okay.
And when my father got out of the Army,
right,
he joined my grandfather. Uh-huh. His brother was already in the business. He did the back end. He was service. He took care of all the service. And when my father came, he said, you know, I want to do sales. I want to do it. And everything was good. They're selling used cars. They're fixing cars. They're pumping gas.
But not a new car
no, not
franchise.
A franchise.
Okay.
Not a franchise. Everything's good. And then one day, the bookkeeper stole $10,000.
No kidding.
The bookkeeper stole $10,000.
A lot of money back there.
I'm going to get emotional here. Stole $10,000. Wow. And that was it. They were going out of business.
Oh my gosh.
So during the final days having to wrap it up because no bank would give them any money. My father was pumping gas and a gentleman pulled up and he said, why do you look so glum?
Yeah.
And my father explained it to him, that. And the gentleman was Dominic Sansone, vice president of New England Merchant Bank.
Wow.
And he said, Ernie, I'll give you the money.
Wow.
So we got the money, continued the business, and to the day my father died, they were best friends.
No kidding.
He got involved in everything.
Yeah.
As the business went on, we had a goal, a journey to be debt-free. Mm-hmm. So we are debt-free. Yeah. And we've been debt-free since, probably the mid-70s.
Sure. Wow.
So our relationships with banks are different.
Yeah.
We don't ask for money.
Right.
And then my father was pumping gas also. Everything's going good. And a gentleman pulled up and he said, hey, this place looks good. You should be a Nash dealer.
Oh, wow.
And my father's like, a Nash dealer? And the guy goes, if you do a good job, you could sell 10 or 15 cars a year.
A year?
A year.
Right.
By 1958, we were the #1 Nash dealer in the country.
Oh my gosh.
In the country.
Wow.
And then Nash, Rambler, American Motors, it started to change. And then in 1971, we got Oldsmobile.
And is this still at this same location?
Yes, Nash and Rambler, which is right there. If you see the sign, Boch Nash with the Rambler, that's at that building. When we got Oldsmobile, we bought a building down the street. Okay. Down the street, and it was Oldsmobile, Saab, and Simca. Saab and Simca.
Wow.
And then when Nash and everything went, in 71, we put Toyota there. Mm-hmm. And in 1971, it was Toyota, Kawasaki, Skidoo, it was a mess, a complete mess. And as we got into the business and as we started rolling, we said, no, we got to concentrate. So we threw everything out, just Toyota. We threw everything out, just Oldsmobile.
Sure, yeah, good choices.
Exactly, and that's how we went to Oldsmobile right to the end.
Yeah,
right to the end. Okay. We went to Oldsmobile, and with Toyota, at the time in 1971, the #1 import was Volkswagen.
Yeah,
was
that's
Toyota
right.
was nobody.
The Beetle bug just was everywhere.
It was the #1 import, and Toyota wasn't barely on the map until 74. Until the gas crisis.
That's right.
The crucial year was 1980.
Okay.
In 1980, Boch Toyota became the #1 Toyota dealer in New England.
Okay.
in New England.
Okay.
And we sat there for up until I sold it.
Wow.
But when I took over, we had Toyota, we had Mitsubishi.
Okay. And what year is this?
When I took over was 2003.
Okay.
So I immediately genested Mitsubishi.
Okay.
I bought another Toyota store, bought another Honda store, and I've always had a rental, and I've always had a really great body shop.
Mm-hmm.
And the gentleman that started with me in the body shop in 1978 is still there to this day.
Oh my God.
He was he was a kid.
Wow.
His name is Bobby Brown. Where's the camera? Bobby Brown is still there, one of the greatest body guys in the world.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
it's good.
Yeah.
So everything started going,
Sure.
and then I actually, to make a side note, I got fired. I was running Mitsubishi, and I got fired. The old man brought me into the office and fired me.
What did you do so wrong?
Well, what was it? October of. When was the crash? I can't remember.
Yeah, 1987.
Yeah, 1980. October of 1987.
Yep.
I lost every deal we were working,
Oh, boy.
and business was terrible,
Yeah.
and I got fired.
Yeah. Wow.
And he sat me in the office. He says, "You're done. If you want to go over to Toyota, you can go over and sell cars at Toyota." And this is like the mid 80s.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's where I cut my teeth on some serious volume.
Right.
Because we were #1 Toyota dealer in New
yeah,
England,
yeah.
serious volume,
Sure.
got this, got that, started to be a manager, and then ended up, taking over the store.
Mm-hmm.
And when my father died in 2003, we #1 Honda store in New England, which was a really fun thing to achieve,
Yeah.
and then #1 Toyota dealer in New England.
Wow.
And
Two of those
and that
most
was
powerful
good.
brands.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
6 states, and I said
Yeah.
to myself, "There's got to be more. There
Yeah.
has to be more. There has to be more. I want to be the #1 Toyota store in the world.
Sure.
I want to beat the top guy."
Sure.
And then with Toyota, I learned very quickly the top guy is Longo Toyota.
That's right. They're the
who's
big one.
#1, and the second guy, they beat him by 1,000 cars. So it was like, whoa, maybe not #1, but
Right.
#2. I want to be the second largest Toyota dealer on the planet.
Right.
And I achieved that. And
Wow,
then
that's
with
fantastic.
Honda, I wanted to be the #1 dealer on the planet.
Okay.
And the last guy I took out was Norm Reeves in California. We
Wow.
were number one in the
That is
world. Because if you're #1 in the world in a franchise, if you're #1 in the United States in a franchise, you're #1 in the world.
Right.
You're
right.
absolutely
strongest
#1.
market.
Strongest market.
Yeah,
Most volume.
No question about
Right.
it. So though, let's go back a little bit. When did you all acquire the Subaru distributorship?
1971.
Okay.
1971, we got Toyota, the distribution. Toyota and the distribution rights for Subaru for the 6 states of New England
Right.
in perpetuity.
Okay, wow, that's fantastic.
Right.
And you didn't have anything to do with the distributorship. You were running more of the retail
I was running
side.
the retail stores.
Okay,
I was
okay.
running the retail stores. We were doing big volume. I was running,
Okay.
and I was exposed to Subaru.
Mm-hmm.
I started going to Japan with my father in 1986.
Okay.
And getting a feel and everything.
Sure.
And then as generations are handed down,
Right.
I'm 3rd generation. The 2nd generation, my father had to get approval from the Japanese. So I was hanging around, doing it, showing them,
Sure.
trying to get tight with Subaru of
Yeah.
America and
Yeah.
the Japanese. And I
Sure.
was finally deemed that I could take over.
Yeah, and there's only 4 distributorships,
There's
right,
4
in the auto
distributors.
industry.
There's 2 Toyota and 2 Subaru left in
Okay.
the United States.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. And
Yeah,
you
it
guys have
is
had
because they were bought up. They were
Yeah.
bought up by the manufacturers. When they first hit here, they didn't know the market, the advertising, this, that.
Yeah.
So they gave one guy to build an area. He distributed the cars
Right.
in the area.
Right.
And they all became super, super successful, and they bought them back. And the only 2 they haven't bought back are the 2 Toyota and 2 Subaru.
And is that where did they constantly knock on your door and say,
No,
we
no,
want,
because
they
of my
kinda left it?
relationship. No, because
Okay.
of my relationship. It's here's a good example of something like that. We have a franchise in New England called the 99.
Okay.
Are you familiar with it?
I'm not.
It's a regional restaurant.
Okay.
And some are corporately run.
Right.
And some are privately owned.
Right.
Well, there was a big shakeup, And a lot of them went out of business.
Okay.
Who went out of business? The corporate ones went out of business.
The franchise
operators are still cooking and doing a great job.
Right. There was no reason for them to come to you, right?
There was no reason, and they knew that I was doing a better job than them.
Let's talk about that better job. Give me some stats on that, because I happen to know them, and they're very, very impressive. The job that you guys, for Subaru.
Subaru of New England is the third best-selling car in New England.
Wow.
Toyota, Honda, Subaru. But
That's strong.
in 22, I beat Honda 17 months in a row.
Wow.
So one year it was Toyota, Subaru, Honda.
That had to make you happy.
Yeah, it was. And
what do you attribute that to?
I contribute that to the people that work with me and for me, and everybody around me, and the support and our dedication, and single point dealers.
Yeah.
Subaru in New England is the only market in the world where they're single point Subaru dealers.
Okay.
No duals.
Okay.
No duals.
Okay.
My father started the no duals in the mid 70s.
Okay.
And even
Which had to be a little difficult to do.
It was very
Because the
difficult.
dealer's going to say, yeah, I'll take your cars on, but I'm not building a whole showroom.
That's
and
right. Or
service center.
take this franchise, take this Saab thing and throw it the hell out and keep Subaru.
Right.
And now it's Subaru of America's model. They want single point dealers.
Sure, makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So where does it stand today? You guys are number...
Today, right now, we're third in New England.
Okay.
Toyota,
Still
Honda,
very formidable.
Subaru, 65 dealers.
Yeah.
It's interesting because in 2019, we were kissing 70,000 cars. We did 69 and change.
Sure.
And our goal in 2020 was to do 70,000 cars.
Okay.
And then the shit hit the fan.
Yeah.
And as we are right now in 2025, our goal is 60.
Okay.
So we got pushed back a little.
Yeah.
We got pushed back a little.
Yeah.
But it didn't, it's really the only time in the industry, because I always told the dealers, if you don't sell cars, you know, I don't make any money. you know? And this little period, because when the cars get tight, I sell them for a set amount, the law, you know, so I can only sell for that, but they're
do
getting
what they need to do.
sticker and
Of
this,
course,
you know,
of course.
sticker for the first time ever. And then when my dealers, when the Subaru of New England dealers started charging over sticker, I did not come down. I did not come down hard. I did not come down with any policies, any procedures. I basically begged them, do not do that. It's not the right thing to do.
Right.
Thank the stars you're getting sticker.
That's right. That's right.
And some of them, well, no, now's the time. He's doing. I go, no. So I pretty much got my
good advice.
Got my guys in line with that concept.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good advice.
Yeah.
And many manufacturers, as you know, many OEMs saw that and said, well, let's increase the price of these vehicles. And I think Stellantis was really led that situation where they said, hey, wait a minute, these dealers are getting X number of dollars. What's your take on the Stellantis situation that we see today?
I am a Ferrari and Maserati dealer.
Yeah.
So Stellantis is, I don't know, I guess home base. I never see anybody from there. But Maserati, and then Ferrari is its own entity.
Right.
So they cut it loose. It's on the stock exchange.
Yeah.
It's got autonomy. But I think the whole Stellantis thing and the Nissan thing is management.
It is.
Nissan breaks my heart because it's a great car.
Yeah.
It's a great car.
There's no question.
And the way they abused the dealer network there's still traces of it now. You can't do that. You can't do that. They are the kings. You're a servant. If you're a distributor or a manufacturer, you're a servant to the dealers.
That's right.
And they
lost sight of that.
Yeah, they lost sight of that, as did Mitsubishi back in the day.
Yeah.
And Stellantis now needs good management. Maybe they jettison a few and get it down and really make it happen.
Sure. To back up a little bit, this salon that we're in, how many cars are in here today?
About 40.
About 40 cars.
About
okay.
40 cars.
And you built this in 2000.
Finished it in 2020. June of 2020.
Okay. And I should mention that this sits on your, for the lack of a better term, your estate right here. Your home is just over my right shoulder.
Right.
Here,
I bought a piece of property in my hometown. Okay. Now, I was born in Providence, Rhode Island,
Okay.
but immediately jettisoned to Norwood, Massachusetts. And I went to public school all the way through high school in Norwood, Massachusetts. In 1987, I bought my first house in Norwood, Massachusetts. And then I was working
hometown boy.
Yeah, I was working at the dealerships 12, 14 hours
Which
a day.
are just a stone's throw from here.
Right. Let me tell you, I don't go into the office that much right now. We're so close. They come here. If I miss the light going to work, it triples my commute to 3 minutes.
That's a beautiful thing, right?
It's a beautiful thing. And
That's right.
Then I bought this in 97. It was on a little less than 2 acres.
Okay.
And then it took me almost 20 years, and I bought the 17 houses that surround it, and now I'm on 7.9 acres.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You're going to keep buying?
No, I'm done. Literally have the whole block. I'm done.
That's fantastic. And I should mention that you've got actually a mausoleum. Your parents are here?
I built a mausoleum in honor of my father. My father's there, my mother's there, my mother's brother is there, and I will be there. I got it. It's funny when you build a mausoleum, because I had the idea and I said, wow, mausoleum, there's going to be some laws and rules and stuff like that.
You would think, right?
I investigated, did it. You have to do this, and I built it, and then I had to get approved. So I went before, the big mucky mucks that approve it.
Yeah, right.
And he said, Ernie, you need this. Got it, approved. So I can put bodies above and below ground on my property.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's like a cemetery over here. But,
well, it's we're all going.
Sure.
We are all going.
Nobody's beat that.
And nobody's beat it. You're not going to beat it. And
that's right.
Why not be comfortable and around what you love when you go?
Yeah, sure. And it probably means something special to you to have your parents on the property, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
And I would imagine that you want your family to take over the estate.
That's a funny one. That's a funny one because my daughters want nothing to do with being buried at the mausoleum, but my son is like, right next to you.
And you suppose they'll take over the house and live in the home?
Well, I have the estate plan all worked out, everything like that.
Okay.
My son will get here. He will be 4th generation.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, 4th generation. I mean, look at the stats of success on the 2nd generation.
Right.
The 3rd generation.
Yeah. Now you've got 3 sisters, right?
Yes.
Okay, so were they in the business at all? And okay, so it was just you and your dad building the business over time.
Right. My sister's husband, Michael, is invaluable to me.
Okay.
He's like I don't even think we ever gave him a title. He's like an operation guy. He does everything.
Sure.
He's if there's a problem
for everything.
Everything.
Okay. Wow.
For everything.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Fantastic.
Right now we're planning the expansion of our Subaru warehouse. We're putting an extra 100,000 square feet on the warehouse.
Wow. Fantastic.
He's heading that project.
That's great. As you know, many car dealers, they suffer from the fact that their family breaks up either during the business or after mom and dad pass, and then all of a sudden there's lawsuits and
well, that's because that happens and I've seen it happen, and I'm seeing it happen now, and I'm talking to people about it. When you have multiple kids, I don't care how many kids you have, you don't split it evenly. In your heart, you want to. You don't. You designate who's in charge. And all the successful generations have always done that. When my father did it, he gave it to me. And and then you take care of your family.
Right. So there's not animosity on the side of your sisters that go, well, how come he got it and we didn't get it?
No.
Everything's planned out.
Everything was planned out.
Right.
As I am planning it out.
Yeah. For sure. That's fantastic. And I think a lot of dealers are, they struggle with that because
never,
they know
ever
that
split
could
it
happen.
evenly. Ever.
And they never had any kind of a desire to come into the business?
No.
They just said, leave that to dad.
Yeah, it's funny. It's the auto industry is the only industry that I say is tougher than the auto industry is the restaurant business.
Yeah, it's pretty tough.
The restaurant business is pretty tough, and the automotive is right next to that.
Yeah,
It's extremely difficult. It's a lot of hours. and it changes, and the right thing changes state to state.
That's right. That's right. Let's talk about that. There's so much right now out there about the franchise laws. We see companies like Rivian and Tesla that have come in and sell their products directly to consumers, and now Volkswagen is saying, hey, we want to come in with Scout and sell these just the way Tesla does, right to the consumer. As a distributor and a dealer, what's your take on that?
Okay, here's my take. Volkswagen can't do it. They already have a dealer network. When Tesla started coming around, Tesla had to fight state to state.
Yeah.
And when Tesla came around, all the dealers got together and they're like, oh, we can't do this. You can't do this. You can't do this.
Right.
And I was the only one that said, let him.
Yeah.
There is no franchise. He's not breaking any franchise laws. And it's new. And why subject the customers to the normal way that we've been doing it for 100 years when something is new? Let's embrace it. Let's see if we can learn from it.
Sure.
And the technology is, I mean, I'm a big Musk fan. The technology is amazing. Here we are in March of 2025.
Right.
And there's a little bit of groundswell against Musk.
Yeah.
And it's, to me, I don't understand it. We can go so deep on our opinions on that. But the bottom line is the guy is the Ben Franklin of today.
Yeah, no question about it. But the dealers that would tell you, I'll play the devil's advocate, that when you let those car companies come in, whether it be Tesla or Rivian or the others, that door just keeps getting wider and wider. And then all of a sudden, we find ourselves being threatened under the franchise laws that currently exist. And then what happens if a legacy company does decide? What if Ford or Toyota?
Ford tried it. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen through the franchise system. And you say, oh, they're going to come in and do, well, raise your game. Raise your game. What, are you going to stay the same while everybody eats your lunch? No, raise your game. It will help everybody.
Right. Let's talk about that for a second. Buying a car for most people, and obviously we're talking to dealers right now, not consumers, but it's still tough out there. I don't care what you say. Every dealer out there goes, well, we don't do that at our dealership. Yeah, they do. They still run those customers through it.
They do, but I got to say, you're right, and probably a majority, but there is a little bit of an oasis of dealers who are just amazing, but they commoditize the purchase.
Yeah.
That's the difference,
right?
I mean, I started selling cars, and we were squeezing every dollar out of every car.
Sure.
We were paint sealing, we were undercoating, we were,
of course, we all did it.
Yeah,
you had to do it.
It's not like that anymore.
Right.
It really is.
In fact, as many times we gave the car away, we lost money on it because we pick up a trade, we pick up a $2,000 back end, we pick up. So the car became the vehicle, no pun, just to make that extra money.
Right, and in a dealership situation, there's not one thing that makes it successful, but there are many policies that do make it successful. And I've learned in practice, move the money, make the deal, move the money, keep the money moving. It will happen.
Right. So how many dealerships did you and your father finally acquire?
Not that many. 2, 4. I should have that off the top of my head, but I'm going to do a little math here. 2, 4, 5, 6. Oh, you mean at the end? Or,
before,
eight or nine
stores.
Point,
Okay, and you all were. I mean, your dad was legendary in terms of his commercials. He was out there. It was, come on down was the slogan. And
for those not in the New England area or not in tune to legacy dealers, I would akin my father to Cal Worthington.
Okay,
out in California.
Go see Cal.
Who was, I mean, if you're in the industry and have any sort of historic knowledge, you know who Cal Worthington is. Of
course, every dealer probably knows.
My father was the Cal Worthington of New England.
Okay. And then you followed suit. I mean, you were out there.
Well, I was out there. I was out there slugging, working, 12, 14 hours a day on TV, on radio, doing this, doing that. And Yeah, getting action. You know, number one Honda deal on the planet. Number two, doing 1,000 Toyotas a month, 800 Hondas a month.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, it takes a lot to do that. It really does.
Of course. Why stop that? Why sell it?
Well, I just, it was time.
Okay.
It was time. I had a fairly successful retail environment, and all the while running Subaru, which is a wholesale business.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, I can sell these stores and I can concentrate on Subaru and do a better job and make more money than adding the retail stores and Subaru together.
Really? Okay.
And I achieved that.
Okay, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
You did keep a couple of stores, though.
I kept
pretty
Ferrari.
nice stores.
I kept Ferrari and Maserati because
that's you.
Because Ferrari it's such a legendary brand, and I love the cars.
Sure.
And I love the clientele.
Right. One thing everybody in the industry knows about you, and I told a number of dealer friends of mine that I was going to be coming up here and interviewing you, and they all know you. I mean, the industry, everybody knows you, and they know you as an amazing guitar player and sit in on many famous bands and such. Talk to me about that. How did that get started?
Well, I grew up in the 70s.
Okay.
You know, I was graduated high school in 76, but in junior high. And you know, when I was a kid, every garage had a band.
Oh yeah, no question.
Every garage. I mean, you know, when you're 12 years old, they hand you a guitar and they hand you an ACD record, Led Zeppelin record, and it's off to the races.
Right.
And I really liked it. I did it. And what really changed me as a kid, because I'm growing up in Norwood, Massachusetts. You know, I'm at home. You know, I'm not a worldly figure by any means. Yeah. Then Woodstock. Woodstock happened. Yeah. And you know, back then there was no internet and everything.
71?
Woodstock, 68.
68
or 69. I think. I was 10.
Okay.
I was 10 or 11.
Yeah.
I should know that. But
and that influenced you at that young age.
That changed my life at 10 because I saw what was happening, and I saw all these people, and I said, those are my people. I love that. That's the music and this and that. And that's really when I started playing guitar. Wow. And I got into it. But back then, a song could change the world.
Yeah, no question.
It's different now.
It is.
It's different now. So I did it. Had bands in high school, everything like that.
Right.
And I'll tell you right now, I'm not an intelligent person. I really am not. You know, my gift or whatever you want to call whatever I do, I have good instincts. Yeah. Okay. And I surround myself with good people. That's, you know, how I do what I do. Yeah. And when I was in junior high and high school, I wasn't the best student, and I used to get sent home and suspended. And every time I got sent home or suspended, my father would throw me at the dealership, and I'd be picking up trash, washing walls, doing this, doing that. Right. I got friendly with the managers, and when I turned 14 or something like that, they didn't really know how old I was. So one day I was doing cars. I've been driving since I was 10. Yeah. I was moving cars around the lot, never leaving the lot, no license, never leaving the lot. And everything was good. And one day the manager threw the keys at me and said, go get my car washed. He didn't. So I'm 14 years old, driving around the street, no license, you know, and I did that for like a year before I even got my learner's permit. Sure. One day I had washed the manager's car, and I pulled up in front of the dealership, and the old man pulled up right next to me. He pulled up right next to me, and he saw that I was driving, and he lost his shit on me, and then he lost his shit on the manager. Yeah, that's amazing, because your dad's got a lot more to lose at that point in time, right? Yeah. And then the second I turned 15 and a half, I got my learner's permit, like almost to the day. Sure. It's funny, kids aren't like that now.
I know they wait. It's my son and his friends.
It's crazy, because the automobile was freedom with us. Freedom.
Now they have their nose in a computer.
But now they can call, and somebody will pick them up that they don't even know, pay them a few bucks, and they can go where they want. It wasn't like that back then.
That's right. Speaking of kids, you've got 3 kids.
3 kids.
Yeah. And what are the ages?
I got a 12-year-old daughter, a 22, 22, 23-year-old son and 23, 24. All that you lose as they get older, you lose how old they are.
I know.
You know what I mean?
No question.
My son went to school, and I used to pick him up at school, and I love driving the kids to school.
Oh, it's the best.
And I
That's
went
the
to
quality time.
Yeah, I was in the parents' lane, or whatever you call it, and they check you out before you go pick up the kid. And I said, I'm here to pick up Alex Boch, 7th grade. He looks at me and goes, Ernie, 6th grade. Oh shit, okay.
That's fantastic. So, is it your wishes that they get into the auto
Absolutely.
industry? It
Yeah,
is.
we're going.
All of them, or
no.
Okay.
They're doing. It's
Okay.
just my son.
Okay.
Just my son.
And he's focused. And he's
fourth generation.
Yeah.
Generational wealth. We haven't talked about that.
Yes.
It's very difficult, but achievable.
Right. Let's talk about it. What say you on this topic?
Well, the way I look at business, the way I've always looked at business, is. And as I sit here with this, I go, it's not for me. It isn't. It's not for me. It's for them.
Okay.
And
them meaning the kids.
Them. The first generation gave it to the second generation. The second generation gave it to the third generation.
Right.
I got it better than the second, and the second got it better, and I built it up and everything. And now it's not for me. I may live like this, but this is all for the kids.
Yeah.
This is all for the kids. I'm setting everything up, and we're off to the races. It's gonna be great.
Sure, fantastic. So you think that he'll come into the business, or that's
Absolutely.
the plan?
That's the plan.
He'll run.
He went to Northwood.
Okay.
The
great.
famous Northwood.
That's right. Great university, especially
Automotive-centric university.
That's right. And he's doing well there.
He's doing well. He loves it.
So
he said they play your show every morning.
They do, and we are so honored to have them as viewers. What's really cool is now we're 12 years old, and we've been around doing this for 12 years, and we've had managers come up to us at NADA and conventions that we'll attend, and they'll say, I was at Northwood and I swatched you, 10, 12 years ago, and now I'm running a delership.
I mean, I go to NADA every year, and I come up to you and tell you I'm a fan. You guys do a great job.
We appreciate it. So let me ask you this. Your son's in college now, and the average price of a vehicle is almost $50,000.
Right.
Where will it be when his kid is in college if this affordability issue isn't addressed?
Okay.
Talk to me about that. Obviously, as a Subaru distributor.
The affordability will be addressed.
Okay.
It has to be addressed.
Yeah.
What I don't want is the Chinese coming in and addressing it.
Right.
Okay. I don't want that. I
Right.
want the auto manufacturers to get their shit together.
Yeah.
And bring those prices down.
Right.
And get an entry-level vehicle.
Yeah.
I was talking to somebody the other day, and I learned to drive stick.
Yeah.
I learned to drive stick on a dollar car.
Okay.
Do you know what a dollar car is?
I don't know what a dollar car is.
A dollar car is back in the 70s and 80s, people would pull up with a car that was barely running, dented. There was
we just called them beaters.
Yeah, beaters,
Yeah.
but we brought them in for $1.
Yeah.
Because you had to fix them so they could run through the auction. You had to clean them, you had to ship them, you had to pay the fee.
Yep.
So we put $1 on those cars.
Makes sense.
And a lot of them were stick, and I took the dollar cars and learned how to drive a stick.
Right. So affordability,
Affordability has to happen.
Yeah, it's got to
happen. It has to happen.
And we interview Michael Dunn, who's kind of the foremost authority on all things Chinese and automotive. A great guy, and he pointed out this map, that we showed when we interviewed him, where North America, Canada, and the United States, we're on an island. That's his take. Because throughout the entire world, Chinese vehicles are being delivered at a very, very astounding
If you
rate.
travel, you see them everywhere.
That's right. And BYD has got an incredible car, and that's a real threat to the U.S.
It is a real threat. There are many theories on that they're teetering. The whole country is teetering. The economy, the population.
Okay.
There's that whole thing.
Yeah.
And then they're actually producing something that people are driving. Look at Farley. Farley was over there for a while, right? Jim Farley with Ford, checking it out, seeing what's going on, getting educated on it, which we have to do.
That's right. And while we sit here now, the country is going through this situation as to where these cars will be built. Is it possible for the U.S. to build an affordable vehicle with the demands that the union puts on manufacturers?
Yes, absolutely. 50% of all Subarus are built in the United States.
Okay.
And I might have the number wrong, by 2036, 100% will be.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If that's the case, why are car companies even going outside the borders of the U.S. to build cars?
Well, I mean, they've been doing it. They have to, the labor. It's bringing it back is a good idea. Bringing it back is a good idea.
Yeah, for sure. And let's talk about some of these crazy numbers that we've seen on acquisitions.
Yeah.
We're sitting right here, and obviously here in Massachusetts, and a friend of yours, Herb Chambers, made all kinds of headlines.
Famous Herb Chambers.
The famous Herb
I'll tell you,
Chambers,
and I say that with respect.
Right.
That guy.
Right.
That guy is one of the best.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, but I knew it though because he's 83 years old.
Yeah.
And watching him from afar, I knew his son wasn't going to take over.
Yeah.
You know, I think they carved out a store or two for him.
Okay.
You know, I don't know the
Mercedes,
exact details as of right now.
Right.
And so Herb did it. It was time. And you know, he's 83 years old. You know, I talked to him, and I don't think I'm talking out of school when I say that. I said, because I talk to people that have hundreds of dealerships, and I say to myself, why? The aggravation, why? But most of the people that have them, they're so insulated.
Sure.
They're so insulated.
Yeah.
If they went through the day-to-day craziness,
You're right.
You know, I said, Herb, why don't you sell? He said, if I sell, I'm just another rich guy in Boston. I'm Herb Chambers. And I said, yeah, you're right. You are Herb Chambers. This is good. Yeah. So something in his mind must have clicked or something like that. But it's his business. He built it. He can do whatever he wants with it.
That's right. Spend more time on his yacht.
Yeah,
his
yacht, his plane, St. Bart's. I love the guy.
Really, when you watch him, it's and what he's done with that company is just incredible. And here's a guy I believe never finished high school, you know, just a self-made guy.
Started with a coffee company, but he's got this guy Jim Ziris. Jim Ziris, that works for him. That's like his right-hand guy, who's fantastic.
Yeah.
You can't build a network like that or any company without really good people around you. You have to.
That's right.
My policy is hire somebody more talented than me.
Yeah.
I want to learn from them. I don't want them learning from me.
Right.
I don't want to be the sharpest knife in the drawer.
Right.
I want people that can bring something to the table.
Yeah, for sure. The car business, though, still suffers from a huge turnover rate. I mean, it's something we've been dealing with for so long.
Yeah, but it's almost like an interim job.
Yeah.
Unless you grab it, you know what I mean, and want to do it. A lot of the sales guys, they're like, yeah, I'm doing this because I'm doing that because I'm doing this. And some sales guys, want to be the manager, want to own my own store.
Yeah, and they have an opportunity to do that.
And let me tell you, dedication is everything. If you dedicate to what you want with blinders on and don't listen to the naysayers or any of that stuff, you will be successful.
That's right. With the acquisitions that we've seen over the course of the last 4 or 5 years, which are huge numbers, what is your take on the mom and pop, the person that's got a Chevy store or a GMC store, GMC Buick store, whatever? Is their future?
Absolutely. If they want to keep it, they can keep it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You know, the franchise laws give them their own little territory.
Yeah.
They can do it. When I sold my businesses, I kept the land.
Yeah.
I kept the land.
That's very nice. Wow, that's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no question about it. So I know that you are all about being very charitable. I mean, the money that you spend giving back, not just to the community, but to these incredible charities. Talk to me about that. The Music Drives Us, for instance.
Right.
I mean,
I have a foundation, Music Drives Us. At this point in my life, I'm putting everything in line, making sure everything's good, and there is some part of me and some mechanism in which I can. Giving back is it's so cliche, you know what I mean? I do what I love. I have a music foundation in New England. In New England, we don't have co-op to the dealers. There is no co-op. Okay. They do what they do. I incentivize them. Believe me, they're happy. They get the national stuff, and I, do the New England stuff.
Right.
But we have one voice in the 6 states. same commercial.
Okay.
They can advertise their local market and they can do this and they can do that, but we have one voice.
Okay.
And we write and produce our own jingles, the music. We don't pay any publishing costs or anything like that. Andy Valerio, who works for me, who does a fantastic job, we write the commercials and I play on them.
That's pretty cool.
So when you see the new electric Subaru ad, it's electric. That's me playing guitar.
That is very cool. You have played guitar with some pretty big names. Share that with our viewers, because and I know that you I don't want to talk about it, but it's pretty cool.
I am not a good guitar player. I can get by.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of friends in the industry.
Sure.
And one of the greatest things a friend can do is ask another friend to sit in.
Sure.
It's like a musician thing.
Right.
And I've been asked to sit in. Les Paul.
Wow.
Les Paul himself, this close, asked me to sit in.
Oh my gosh.
I said no. I said no because I
what
was
do you
in
got
a
to
room.
lose?
I was in a room with all these crazy guitar players. I'm not going up there
with Les Paul.
I was on the side of the stage.
Wow.
Watching my friend's Cheap Trick.
Right.
Play.
Right.
Rick Nielsen walked over to me, took his guitar off, and said, "Go." Started pushing me.
Wow.
Started pushing me. And so I pushed. I went sideways. I took the guitar off, put it on my son, and he went out there. He doesn't play guitar.
Oh my gosh.
He doesn't play guitar.
Why?
He went out there.
Too intimidated?
Yeah. No. I've turned down many people. And then the last name people that asked me.
Sure.
I said to myself, see, when you have kids, you don't skydive.
Yeah,
you don't do dangerous things. You want to stay around. So stepping on stage in front of 10,000 people is such a rush that I like that.
Right.
It's scary.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Right.
It could go either way. I love it.
So we're sitting in this incredible salon, and obviously you're seeing it on air right now. But you've had some amazing bands right in here for charity events, right?
We have a yearly fundraiser for Music Drives Us, where I bring in a national act. I've had Cheap Trick play here. I've had Stone Temple Pilots play here. I just had Kiefer Sutherland, the actor. He was fantastic.
Wow.
He's doing it.
Fantastic.
The Go-Go's. I mean, I've had a lot of people on the property for fundraisers.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Tell our viewers what the objective of the charity is.
Music Drives Us is dedicated, number one, to keep music in the schools.
Okay.
We've done teachers, we've done instruments, we've done this, we've done that. So we have organizational grants, we have performance grants, and we have instrument grants. We've given thousands of instruments.
Wow, that's fantastic. Yeah. And with good reason, because that's one of the things that many school boards said, we don't
First thing they cut some music.
We don't need music, right? That's
First
a luxury item.
Arts,
and that's a shame, right?
And I was fortunate to grow up. The high school and junior high band from Norwood, Massachusetts was famous. They kicked ass in all the national competitions because we had the legendary Paul Alberta as a music director.
Right.
So, when I grew up, there was a lot of music in schools. And now there isn't. And I'm trying to change that.
I know. Yeah, there's no question about it.
Grant cycles are open, musicdrivesus.org.
There you go. We'll show it on the screen. So you want to make an impact and bring music back to schools. That's a good way to start, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no question. So many dealers that I talk to do give back. I know it's a cliche, but they, for the lack of a better term, they give back to their communities. And how did you zero in on that? Just because of your love for music?
Well, we have the Subaru Love Promise.
Right.
Developed by Tom Dahl.
Right.
I mean, we've given millions back.
I know.
It's incredible. It really is. We give a certain amount of monies for every car sold in December to these 4 major charities, and then the dealers can develop their own charity.
Right.
It's
and
really
many of them
good.
do. It's amazing what the Subaru
It's
dealers
real.
have done.
It's real. And I'll tell you, Subaru Love Promise has been tried. I'll tell you, the Subaru Love Promise, manufacturers have tried to copy it and failed.
Yeah, I know. And you see them every now and then come out with
See 'em
things.
now-
You're like, yeah,
now and then.
that's got Subaru written all over
And
it.
you know what's funny? You see it. And if you dive in deep, at one point they work for Subaru.
Oh, I see. Okay. That's interesting. I've met a few people that work for you, and they've been working for you for a long time.
Yeah.
How do you cultivate today, with all that's going on in the industry, a culture in a company, whether it be at the distributorship or the dealerships, where people want to stay and they
Yeah,
want
they
to
want
work
to say
for
because
you?
you have to.
Yeah.
First of all, it's a business necessity.
Right.
And you've got to treat them well, you've got to pay them well, and you got to pay them consistent.
Yeah.
And create a vibe. That's the whole thing is a vibe.
Yeah.
The whole thing is a vibe.
Sure.
And when you walk into a dealership, you can feel it. You can absolutely feel it. I mean, I walked into many dealerships that are, for lack of a better word, dead.
Mm-hmm.
And then I walked into dealerships that were humming.
Yeah.
You can feel it.
You can. There's no question about it. Yeah, without a doubt. If your dad was with us, you think what would his take on the last 20 years be
It's funny.
since
I mean,
you took over and he passed?
You know, he was amazing. He was an old school guy. Almost every business concept I've ever learned, I learned from him, but it was different.
Yeah.
It was different. It was different. He was, you know, I was his son, and basically 90% of the time I've ever talked to him in his whole entire life was about business.
Yeah, really. No kidding. Did you ever go head to head with him? And he says,
I got fired twice. Absolutely.
I know there's a lot of kids that are watching that work for their parents in dealerships right now.
Yeah.
That, you know, they think, oh my gosh, I don't think I can do this. But the parents want the best for them, right?
Yeah.
But not always is it on the same.
Let me address that.
Yeah.
Let me address that. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Family businesses are a unique dynamic.
Yeah, for sure.
And if I had to give advice to somebody, some kid or younger, whatever, working for a successful business and their father runs it, I would say, step in line, do what he says, and let's make this happen.
Yeah.
Because there's no sense having this. There's no sense having that thing. And when I woke up one day after, you know, we would have arguments about a lot of things.
Sure.
And then I woke up one day and I said, wow, he's right. And he died in 2003. When I was working for him, I thought I had the toughest job. I'm doing it. And when he died and I woke up one morning, I'm not taking orders. I had the easiest job. He was like, do this,
now you're
this,
the
and
guy
this.
now.
And I didn't, that's the easiest thing to do. It's coming up with this, and this. That's the difficult thing. So if you're in a family business and the old man is crazy, just do what he says and work it out.
That's good advice. That's good advice. And wait your turn, right?
Yeah.
Just wait your turn, because if it's done right. There's no question.
Generational wealth and the family business dynamic is so unique. You have to get in there. You have to make it happen.
Yeah, no question. When I got into the business in the early 80s, and we're not too far apart on age, my schedule was on the front door. You know, my sales manager said, there's your schedule, right? If you want the job, it's yours. But it was key to key.
What was it, 9 to 9?
Of course. It was
9 to 9, 6 days a week.
Exactly.
Right?
And if you took that seventh day off, they looked at you sideways.
Plus
like, you're not hitting your number.
On that seventh day, that's when the 2 deliveries that you have scheduled want to come in.
Now it's a half a deal.
You know, yeah,
exactly. There's no question about it.
When I first started managing Oldsmobile, they had a closed floor. They had an up system.
Oh my gosh!
Because everybody was
that's old school.
Had been there forever, and they were all like 65. So they literally had an up system.
Oh my God!
And I came in and destroyed it. They literally walked out.
Yeah,
I bet. They really did walk out.
Yeah.
And I told them, I said, go. Walk.
Yeah.
And individually they came back, and one of them said, I've been here a long time. This is not the way to do it. And trying to convince me.
Yeah.
But I did it, and an open floor is the only way to do it.
Oh yeah, of course. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
You got only the strong will survive.
Right.
But having said that, I didn't see any soccer games. I didn't go to any little league. I wasn't there for the family. And it cost me.
The most heartbreaking thing on that subject. For me. When my kids were growing up and I was building, and I was gone for 3 days, And I woke up, and I love to have breakfast with him before I drive to school.
Yeah, it's the best.
And I woke up, and I go down to breakfast. I go, hey, Kelsey, it's good to see you. She's like, hi, Dad. I go, what do you mean, hi, Dad? I go, I've been gone for 3 days. She goes, oh, you have?
Oh, wake up call.
Yeah.
Didn't even know it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gone. She didn't even know it.
That's right. What about today? What should how do we, in the industry, we still have a tough time getting that top-notch, kid out of college, or that quality person that comes in, because they perceive the industry as
it's
67 hours a week.
There are,
yeah,
as Dana White says, there is a group of young lions that is destroying the competition.
Yeah.
It's smaller. When we were there, we would work 12 hours a day because we wanted to make money.
Right.
We cared that we missed weddings, but we had a mission.
Right.
We're going to do it.
That's right.
There was no balance. You're not going to, I firmly believe, during the building process, and to be super, super successful, there is no balance.
Yeah.
You accept that this is it, or you get out.
Right. You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
And if you want some off time, then get to that level because of your efforts.
Do it in your 20s and 30s so that your 40s, 50s, 60s, I'm in my 60s now.
Yeah.
Work comes to me.
Right. That's right. And having said that, is your home office now? I mean,
we do.
This place is amazing.
Yeah, we do all the meetings here.
You do.
Yeah.
That's
before,
fantastic.
I stopped going into the office about 2 years before COVID.
Okay.
Because it was time, and everything went by my desk for initial. I'm talking average. I'm talking everything. And then,
little control freak at that.
Well, I didn't micromanage.
Yeah.
I didn't micromanage, but I wanted to see everything.
Yeah.
And then slowly, department by department, I stepped back, and instead of taking them to 100%, I said, you take it to 100% and just run it by me.
Yeah.
And I did that to all the different departments, and I slowly went back, and then right before COVID, I stopped going in, and it wasn't because of COVID.
Yeah.
And that's how it is now. I run the businesses, I run the charities, I do everything, but I do it out of the house.
Yeah. Did any of the people at Subaru of New England work remotely? And
at the beginning, when
this is always a touchy subject.
No, it's not a touchy subject. At the beginning, when we were forced to do what we did.
Yeah.
We were forced to be remote, but now, no, 100%.
Okay,
No,
everybody's
no,
back.
I do not believe in remote working.
Right.
Everybody's there.
Right.
And if you want to, I've had many people for jobs, for spaces, they want to work Friday at home. No.
That's not going to work for you.
It's not going to work. And I'll tell you what's a good measurement that you're running a good show.
Yeah.
Is that I've had 4 or 5 of the women have kids.
Yeah.
And weren't pregnant when they were working, got pregnant, took the time off, and came back.
Yeah, wow.
Came back,
That's
hit
great.
the ground running, back into it.
That's fantastic.
Because a lot of times, they don't come back.
Right. All these cars in here, they seem to be plugged in.
Yeah,
but
they're
not
all trickles.
EVs. They're not EVs, right?
I bought a Tesla Cybertruck.
Okay.
I bought a Tesla Cybertruck. I'm not ashamed of it. I bought it.
Why should you be ashamed
I know.
of it?
Well, here we are, March of 2025. I am not ashamed of it.
Okay, gotcha.
But yeah, they're all plugged in. They're all trickle charged, and they're all ready to go.
Right.
They're all ready to go. And the way they're parked, you can literally drive them out.
That's
I would
incredible.
love, I see these guys with collections, and they're like side by side.
Yeah.
And I'm going, okay, they're trailer queens or whatever.
You mentioned to me you actually drive these.
Yeah,
I mean, you'll jump in and drive it around, and rather than
I've been stopped a few times. I like to go out early Sunday morning.
Okay.
6 o'clock, 5 a.m. We've got a nice highway system out here.
You do.
and I've been stopped.
So the local police know
I've been
you. They go, there goes
stopped a
Ernie.
couple times, and the guy comes up. He goes, Ernie, I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing.
All right.
Just go home.
Just go home. Right? Exactly. You're getting too old for this. The reason I bring that up is because EVs is just something that, all dealers are trying to get their hands around it, manufacturers, the government, it's just when you say those two letters together, it's polarizing in a lot of cases.
Well,
although we're selling more EVs, but as a Subaru distributor, What's your take
selling.
on this?
We have one complete electric vehicle and others coming. My problem with the EVs is the government telling us what we can drive.
Okay.
That's my problem.
Right.
My problem is, hey, government, my people will drive what they want to drive. If they want to drive EVs, I have EVs.
Right.
If you want to drive an ICE car, I have ICE cars. You want a hybrid? I have a hybrid. But the government shouldn't tell me this much percent EV, this much percent ICE. And by the way, we don't want any ICE by 2035.
Right.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, just get out of that.
Yeah.
Get out of that.
If you want an EV, we'll give you an EV. It'll be great.
So many
We'll sell you an EV.
many car companies, as you know, went pretty deep on EVs, but Subaru said, not so fast. We're not.
Well, Subaru is, you got to remember, Subaru is small. We did 660,000 cars nationwide.
Okay.
And in the world, just about 1 million.
Okay.
And that's small.
Yeah.
That's small compared. So they can't go all in. When the first EV scuttlebutt happened, Subaru's saying or what they wanted to do was intelligently follow. And they've changed that now, and they understand what they're doing. And I am proud to say that Subaru of America and Subaru Corp, which used to be Fuji Heavy Industries.
Okay.
Fuji Heavy Industries. They
Okay.
renamed it
Yeah.
to Subaru Corp.
Okay.
Fuji Heavy Industries. I love that name. And they're ready to move.
Okay.
They're ready to move. If we have to do this, they have it. If they have to
Okay.
do this, they have it. We have it.
Right.
Yeah, very
interesting.
yeah.
Interesting.
Yes.
You mentioned Tom Dahl earlier.
The legendary Tom Dahl.
That's right. Talk to me about that, because obviously he stepped down.
Tom Dahl was the first American to run Subaru of America without a Japanese to answer to in America.
Yeah.
And he was on the board at Subaru Corp or Fuji Heavy Industries. Japanese. Tom Dahl was one of the architects of what made Subaru.
Wow.
We went through what we call the valley of despair when Subaru was doing like 185 cars a year for years and years and years. And Tom Dahl, I got to know him very well.
Okay.
And we would often talk, we got to make this car company cool.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
This is a cool car. This is all-wheel drive. This is something special.
Sure.
And I'm not going to say that I had anything to do with it, but I was in on the conversation.
Well, you might have been influenced on it. Yeah.
I go to Japan, we look at the products, I give my opinion, but by no means is it me. But they developed it and they did it and they got the right advertising firms and it was good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Why do you think that? What draws that consumer to say, I'm only buying a Subaru? I mean, your loyalty among
Loyalty's crazy.
it's unbelievable.
Yeah, and
you can't even show them another car.
And as of now, in Consumer Reports, we're number one.
Unbelievable. I know.
Number one in
Congratulations.
Consumer Reports.
Wow.
Yeah, because Subaru's got the vibe.
Yeah.
It's a cool car.
Yeah.
It's all-wheel drive.
But it's funny because it had a very stodgy, what are you driving a Subaru for? But man, over the years, you guys have successfully changed
and
that.
all-wheel drive is not just for the snow.
Yeah.
A lot of guys in the industry are like, oh, you're doing so good because you're in the Northeast and you get
New
snow.
England.
No, it's not like that. All-wheel drive is great for drive pavement.
Yeah.
But Subaru is a really good, if you look at it, it presses the buttons and it's very reasonably priced. It's not crazy priced.
That's right.
It does a lot.
That's right. If we're sitting here 10 years from now, hopefully we're both sitting here 10 years from now. What are you doing? What
am I doing? Well, I'm probably watching my son run it. Hopefully we're doing 100,000 cars a year.
Okay.
100,000 cars a year.
Okay.
Yep. 100,000 cars a year, and everything's going good. My foundation is funding all sorts of projects, and it's good. There's world peace. We can we can go to Iraq and Iran as tourists.
That's right. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Imagine that with all that's going on in the world today, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully, a lot of consumers and dealers alike, they get so tied in knots as to what's happening outside the U.S. borders, and I guess rightfully so in many cases, but. They can really, it can mess with your mind. The fact that
that's a whole discussion.
Yeah.
I am a conservative.
Sure.
I'm socially liberal and financially conservative. I'm a capitalist with a conscience.
Okay.
And I'm concerned with it, but I can't, there's nothing I can really do about it.
Right.
It's not going to derail me. We're America. Come on.
Come on.
Yeah.
We're going to sell some cars here. Final thoughts. What's your take on the overall industry as you sit here today? Is there anything that keeps you up at night that you say, we got to be looking out for this?
I'm constantly trying to come up with ideas. I have a very small group of friends, very, very small.
Okay.
And we spit out ideas on everything.
Okay.
On everything. I mean, if I have an idea, they'll do it. That guy, they'll do it, and it happens. The latest thing I'm going to do is hopefully I'm going to get it done before school's out. Because in Boston, 300,000 people leave the city in the summer, all the students, and they all come back.
Oh wow!
So I'm doing a shredder contest. You know what a shredder contest is?
I do not know what that is.
Well, you know when you play guitar and you're shredding? You're shredding?
Yeah.
So I'm going to have a competition. I'm going to have a competition, and I'm going to give $10,000 to the winner. And we're going to do it as a benefit for Music Drives Us. And I'm going to bring in my rock star friends to give the examples. It's going to be good, yeah.
There you go. That's fantastic. And where would that be held?
Well, I have a friend that has some restaurant and bars in Boston, and he has said that he will help me out, Patrick Lyons, the famous Patrick Lyons in Boston, Massachusetts.
Right.
And we're going to get that together.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. I would now say, knowing you and being, watching you over the years from, my perch at a dealership somewhere and hearing the Boch name and the Ernie Boch name, you've added such color to the industry. As I sit here today, and you look more like a rock star than you do the president of Subaru of New England, right? Has that always been kind of
your...
Well,
you got to have fun. You have to have fun. I love music. I just love music, and I have integrated my love for music into my business.
Yeah, sure.
Into my business. There's a saying, and you hear it a lot. Do what you're passionate about, and you'll never work a day in your life. Right? Okay, that's bullshit. It's complete, absolute bullshit. Do what your talents allow you to do. Make the money, then do what's passionate.
Yeah. And this is your passion right here.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you're having fun every day.
I am having fun. You have to have fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Ernie Boch Jr., thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Honored to be here.
Yep. Thank you so much. It was great.
Well, now I've been thinking back on all the stories, how it was back in the day. You try to rewrite all the glory, not let the truth get in the way. We were traveling on down the high road, never thinking about coming down. Oh, but then you changed direction, tried to drive me right into the ground. Oh no, you can't have it your way. You can't change the past. I guess it's true what they say. The good times never last. Oh yeah.
Thanks for watching The Executive Profile, exclusively on CBT News. Today's episode has been sponsored by the Presidio Group.